Alright folks, we are live in Taiji right now, and the hunters have gotten a pod of dolphins. All those boats you see lined up there, they are in a formation and they're pushing a pod in towards the harbor right now. They typically push the dolphins closer to shore, close to the harbor, and then kind of use the land as a wall to help them herd the dolphins in. Originally, these hunters had a larger pod, but the pod seems to have broken up. And if you're able to see the white splashes, that would be the pod of dolphins. Some of the hunters have split up. A few of them have switched to skiffs, and the skiffs are now pulling up towards the hunting boats, which is a little bit unusual. We usually see those skiffs in the cove, and that's where they drop the nets from those skiffs. I know it's super far out, so it's a little bit hard for you guys to see, but we will try to get you guys the best view we can. Okay, thank you for joining us, folks. Please share this if you're on Facebook, and please retweet this if you're on Twitter. We hope to get as many eyes as we can on this hunt. And there's a link in the description of this live stream. Please click on that link and go to the bottom of the page. There's a whole list of contacts that we can do, a whole list of contacts that we can email and send letters to, and just urge them to put an end to these hunts. Alright, they're moving a little bit more quickly now. Looks like the skiffs have kind of joined into the formation that the boats are going in. And we're trying to get a species identification. They're still a little bit far out. So if you don't hear anyone talking, that's probably what we're doing. We're trying to get a close enough look to identify what species of dolphins these are. Alright, I'm gonna move you guys to another vantage point. They've pushed the dolphins just to the front of the harbor, which is right in the glare. And kind of through this foliage. That's where they are at the moment. Yeah. On our Twitter feed, it's a little harder to see, just with the orientation of the video here. There's quite a bit of growth here, which makes it even harder to see. But the hunters typically push these dolphins past the harbor and along the coastline over to the Cove, which is currently behind us from this position.
Hi folks, if you're just joining us, this is Rickleberry's Dolphin Project. We are live up above the Cove in Taiji, Japan. The hunters have a pod of dolphins that they are driving in. Right now it's 9 a.m. here in Japan. We first spotted the formation at 7:45 a.m. Right now, they have them straight in front of us, right along that peninsula there. To the right is the mouth of the harbor, and generally they drive them along that peninsula to tire them out. The water is shallower, and then they circle around and head towards the cove. So right now they're stopped over there, and we're monitoring what they're doing. There's a lot of foliage in front of us, so we apologize that we can't give you a better view, but we're going to try to give you the best one possible. And right now, folks, they're pretty much out of view. They're mostly even out of our view, especially on Twitter. Sorry for the orientation of the video. I know it's harder for you to see.
Just completely in the glare right now.
And folks, please share this live stream. Follow us on our social media links. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please take the pledge not to buy a ticket to a dolphin show. Click on our Take Action links. There are a lot of things that you guys can do to help the dolphins. And also bear in mind that these hunts are driven by the captivity industry. They will try to say it's culture and tradition, but they make a lot of money for a live dolphin that they can sell to dolphinariums around the world. They don't make much money on the dead dolphins that end up in the supermarket and their meat is sold. So yeah, the key is education. Spread the word. Everybody needs to know about this, and everybody needs to stop buying tickets to dolphin shows, because this is where they come from. And the ones that are deemed unworthy, quote unquote, of life in captivity are slaughtered.
It looks like the boats have kind of stopped directly in the glare. A couple of the banger boats have headed into the harbor, and there's still several of them with the pod of dolphins where we last saw them. But right now they're just kind of sitting in the glare. We're trying to get a better visual with binoculars and with our cameras like really zoomed in, but with that glare it's just super difficult. So we'll share information with you guys as soon as we have it. Please bear with us.
So if you're just joining us, folks, this is Rick O'Berry's Dolphin Project. We are live above the Cove in Taiji, Japan. Today is Monday, December 6th. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning here, and the hunters are driving a pod of dolphins in. Right now they are out of our view in the glare, and we're trying to wait until they come into view, and then we'll give you an update. Folks, I don't know if you can hear it, but the boats are banging on their poles over there. They are called banger boats, and the reason they're called that is because they have long metal poles that they swing over into the water, and then they bang on the other end, which basically creates an acoustic hell and a wall of sound that disorients, confuses, terrorizes the dolphins. And the dolphins are sophisticated. They have a specific sonar system called echolocation, very acoustically advanced and sensitive, where they can emit sounds and it'll bounce off objects around them, and it will return and give them information about what's out there in their world. And that's how they understand and navigate their world. They're still out of our sight right now, folks. We can hear the banging, but they're out of sight behind the bushes in the glare. Thank you, Kelly. And please have your children tell all their friends not to buy a ticket and for their parents not to take them to a dolphin show. If you guys love dolphins, there are plenty of reputable places that you can go and see them wild and free in the ocean. If you guys are just joining us, this is Rico Berry's Dolphin Project. We are live above the Cove in Taiji, Japan. Today is Monday, December 6th. It's about 9:10 a.m. here. We first spotted this drive about 7:45 this morning.
The dolphins just came up in front of them. It looks like they still have control over where they're pushing them. Slowly but surely they're pushing them towards the cove. There's several banger boats and a few skiffs kind of all in a line together working to push the dolphins. One of the skiffs is faced backwards and it looks like he's using the sound of his engine to kind of push or scare the dolphins in the direction we want them to go.
No, the dolphins have not been driven under the tarps yet. They're not in the cove yet. They're still driving them towards the cove. We don't have a species yet. We're getting footage and we're going to work on that. And as soon as we are able to, we'll give you a species identification. I'm gonna move the camera here and see if I can get you in a better spot.
Alright, looks like they've got a better handle on this pod now. They were struggling for a bit earlier, but they are moving a little more quickly now. They're still pushing the dolphins towards the cove, and it looks like there's quite a few of them. We don't have positive species ID yet. We're doing our best to get some close-up shots so we can confirm 100% what species this is.
Folks, if you're just joining us, this is Rick O'Berry's Dolphin Project. We're live above the Cove in Taiji, Japan, where the hunters are driving a pod of dolphins in. They're right in front of us right now, headed towards the Cove. You can probably hear the banging. That's the banger poles that they dip into the water, and then they bang on those to get the dolphins to go in the direction they want them to go. Just let you listen now. You can hear the banging. Folks, they're in front of us out of view right this second under the foliage there. Move up a little bit. That is the best view I can give you guys right now with all the trees and branches. They're crossing over. They're headed towards the Cove. All right, folks, we're gonna change locations here. Bear with us.
Looks like they're starting to draw the first net, so the dolphins have been pushed closer to the Cove. We are gonna move to a vantage point and then get you guys set up with a better view.
bear with us. We're going to get up on a ladder here and get you set up.
If you need to move it around. Okay, so it's pretty zoomed in. This could be a little bit more. All right, folks, we do have confirmation that these are striped dolphins, and it looks like they have successfully netted them in the cove. They have 2 nets drawn. The outer one, which I think both the Facebook and Twitter streams can see right now, and one just to the left of that. So they have a pretty limited area where they are confined to right now. Striped dolphins are generally an offshore species. They stay quite far offshore, which means that they typically travel a larger distance to get this close to shore, which means they're very, very tired, essentially, if they are driven in miles and miles from offshore. Dolphins are mammals just like we are. They are warm-blooded. They have to breathe air. They need to come to the surface to breathe air, and the harder they swim, the more they will have to breathe, which means they are at the surface more, which works in this hunter's favor. We have several skiffs in here now. It looks like they are getting ready to draw another net to put the dolphins even closer to shore. And the skiff is just kind of under these branches and trees, a little bit out of your sight here. If you see the splashes, there's a couple fins coming out underneath the long branch that's kind of sticking out. That's where the dolphins are.
Bear with us on Twitter, folks. We're getting some footage, so we're having to bend over a little bit. I know it's in your view.
Take a peek by so we can see the tarps.
Folks, if you're just joining us, this is Rick O'Berry's Dolphin Project. We're live above the Cove in Taiji, Japan. We're headed into the Cove. We're drawing another net right now. The dolphins are in the middle of your screen, right to the left of that branch that's sticking out.
In past stripe hunts, stripes are generally more likely to be slaughtered, but there are some cases where they are found in captivity. So we will await to see what happens here, whether or not trainers arrive. The dolphins continue to be surfacing kind of to the right of your screens, underneath where the branches are. And they have grown out quite a bit over the years, and our visual is getting quite hard to see. Dolphins are classified as cetaceans, or the group of animals that consists of whales, dolphins, and porpoises. They are mammals. They breathe air like we do. They have warm blood like we do. They give birth to live young, and they even have hair at some points in their lives. They are highly intelligent animals. They're highly social, wide-ranging, deep-diving, highly sensitive. They have very complex social structures in the wild. Mother dolphins get very bonded with their offspring, and they even form nursery pods in certain species where several groups of mother and baby dolphins will all join together and kind of assist each other in raising their young. In many countries, dolphins and whales and marine mammals are protected. Such as in the US, we have the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which prohibits hunting or harassing marine mammals in any form. But here in Japan, there are no such laws, unfortunately. That's why it's so important to continue sharing these live streams that shows the cruelty and the stress these dolphins endure, and to urge the Japanese government to take action. If you haven't already, please go to the link that's in the description. It's dolphin.fyi/HelpJapanDolphins, I believe. There are contacts on that page that you can email and send letters to. Just please continually urge them to take action and put an end to these cruel and unnecessary hunts. The dolphins are all huddled together quite tight. They're kind of surfacing still under those branches and not moving around a whole lot. tarps are drawn below us. They're a little bit out of view due to the amount of trees and bushes that have grown, but they are indeed drawn. Underneath those tarps is where the slaughters and the captive selection typically occur. We typically see divers or the skiffs kind of force the dolphins to go underneath those tarps up onto the beach down there. And then they put the tarps up in effort to hide what they are doing. There are a few voices coming from down where the tarps are, and there are a few skiffs with the hunters still on them, kind of underneath the branches. We have not seen any trainers arrive yet, and as we mentioned before, striped dolphins are typically subjected to slaughter more often than captive selection. This pod was originally much larger when we first got sight of it further offshore, but the pod broke and it looks like a larger portion of the pod was driven away. 3 of the banger boats actually kind of pushed them out offshore and then returned to where the other boats were with this smaller group. It looks like we've got at least one diver in the water. They're kind of up against the rocks over to the right-hand side where all the foliage is. The hunters are aware of what we do and where we are, and they kind of use the cover of the foliage to their advantage as well. The dolphins are all super tight together, just kind of swimming in a very tight circle down there. You might be able to see some of their fins pop up between the branches to the right-hand side. Got another skiff entering. It does not look like there's trainers on board that one. Still one diver in the water, not doing anything at the moment. There's also a skiff over to the right-hand side against the rocks, just perfectly underneath the branches from what you guys are probably able to see. Yeah, some of them are kind of poking their heads out of the water, or spy hopping to get a view of what's above the surface. They're probably just very confused, not know what's going on. As we mentioned earlier, striped dolphins are an offshore species, so it's very rare for them to see the shore or come this close into a shallow area. And they're all very, very tight together, just continuously swimming in that tight circle. Oh, there's a nice spy hop from some of them. Oh my goodness. There's just so many of them poking up their heads above the water and looking around. Dolphins are highly social animals. They're typically very tightly bonded to those other dolphins that live in the same group or pod with them. They're highly social and highly intelligent animals. Most countries protect them, as we mentioned before, such as the US with the Marine Mammal Protection Act. There's just very few countries left that hunt cetaceans or dolphins and whales. And unfortunately, Japan is one of them. This hunt that we're currently watching right now, the hunt that takes place in Taiji of Wakayama Prefecture, is primarily fueled by the demand from the captivity industry. A live dolphin sold to the captive trade or sold to a marine park can sell for as much as 10 times of a dead one. We have information of past sales ranging in 6 figures in US dollars. Looks like one of the skiffs is approaching the pod with his motor facing towards them. We've seen them use this technique to kind of use the sound of the engine to drive them closer to shore or where the tarps are drawn. Folks, please continue to share this live stream. Retweet it if you're on Twitter, share it with your friends and your community on Facebook, Facebook pages, Facebook groups if you have them, and urge everyone you can to click that Take Action link and follow the steps there. There's a list of authorities to contact. Let's continue to send them emails, phone calls, letters, everything we can to urge them to put an end to this hunt. Here's one more skiff entering. Let's see who's on here. Appears to be all hunters on this skiff. Looks like they're drawing one more net. They're trapping the dolphins closer to the cove. We continue to get the impression that the hunters use this overgrowth of trees and bushes to their advantage and try to do most of their activity underneath them, or think what they presume to be out of our view. But we do our best to expose what truly goes on here. There's quite a bit of splashing in the lower right-hand corner. Several divers have entered the water. And we are trying to get some close-up photos and videos with our other camera here that we'll post later when we have a summary. So please stay tuned, folks. Please continue to follow and share what we post so we can further expose this unnecessary cruelty. Alright, they've got several dolphins really close to the tarps right now. There appears to be at least one dolphin that has gone over the orange net where the skiffs are. Folks, we're going to adjust a little bit. Please bear with us. Oh my God. So both of our cameras have a better view here. This gets lost. We've still got some divers going around. looks like they've started to push some of the dolphins in under the tarps here.
Folks, if you're just joining us, this is Rick O'Berry's Dolphin Project. We are live from above the Cove in Taiji, Japan, where we're watching the hunters have driven in a pod of striped dolphins. Folks, we're live streaming and taking photos at the same time, so I apologize for the orientation of the camera, especially on Twitter for you guys. We're doing our best to give you the best possible view and to get the best possible footage.
Quite a bit of discussion and splashing going on under the tarps right now.
Yeah, folks, most of what's happening right now is out of our view. It's under the tarps and behind the foliage. You can hear the hunters down there talking and yelling at each other. Please tell all your friends. If we can stop the demand for people buying tickets to see live dolphins perform as circus clowns, then we can stop the supply here. can hear the thrashing down there right now. But these hunts are driven by the captive industry and the demand for dolphins, live dolphins. There's a big profit. They sell them to the aquariums around the world. So please go to Rick O'Berry's Dolphin Project. Take the pledge not to buy a ticket to a dolphin show. Go on our Take Action links. There are a lot of different things that you guys can do. And thank you guys for joining us. We know that this is hard to watch. Your support means so much. So thank you. So folks, it appears that that skiff came out with live dolphin. I can't tell how many. So it appears that they did take some into captivity and they're heading towards the left, which is towards Moriara Bay and Dolphin Base. We'll have to review our footage. Yeah, it appears that there are 4 captive in that skiff. And they are heading over towards the left, which means that they're going to take them to the pens in Moriara Bay, Dolphin Base. Okay, so let me get you back down here. Appears to be another skiff coming out. Of course, they're staying way over to the right, where it's very difficult for us to see them because of the branches.
Started to remove the orange net that's closest to the cove.
Okay, folks, the second skiff came out, went around to the right, which is towards the harbor. We're getting footage of exactly what was on that skiff. A lot of thrashing down there right now. Dolphins are violently thrashing down there. They do not want to die today. Folks, if you're just joining us, this is Rick O'Berry's Dolphin Project. We're live above the Cove in Taiji, Japan. The hunters have driven a pod of striped dolphins in. As of right now, 4 have come out. 4 live dolphins have been taken captive, and they headed in the direction of Moriara Bay. The sea pen's over there. Heard a lot of thrashing under the tarps as dolphins are losing their lives down there. Please share this live stream, folks, and please tell all your family, friends, co-workers about this. This is where your entertainment comes from. These hunts are driven by the captive industry and the demand for live dolphins to sell to aquariums around the world to perform tricks for human entertainment. They make a lot of money on the ones that they take captive and they can sell. They don't make a lot of money on the ones that they slaughter and that end up in the supermarket as meat. So this is not for the meat, it's not culture, it's not tradition. This is purely greed and profit, driven by the captivity industry. They're pulling up another net. Still hear a lot of thrashing down there under the tarps. Thank you for joining us, folks. We know this is really difficult to watch. We really appreciate your support. We have just borne witness to the last moments of these dolphins' lives and freedom today. A lot of people ask why we don't do something. We are doing something. We're here. We're witnessing this. We're live streaming it out to the world. We're getting all kinds of footage. We can't interfere. This is legal here in Japan, and we have police with us all the time. And if we tried to interfere in any way or broke any kind of law here, we would be immediately arrested, deported. If we weren't here documenting this, there would be no evidence of this happening and nobody would know. That's why it's so important for you guys, please, to share this. Please follow us on our social media platforms. It's a very powerful tool. We've talked to a lot of people who first learned of this through social media and seeing the live stream. There's a skiff there in the middle of your screen taking up another net. So to recap what we have so far, folks, this is Rico Berry's Dolphin Project. We're live above the Cove in Taiji, Japan. They drove a pod of striped dolphins into the Cove. Thus far, we have seen a skiff come out with 4 live dolphins to be taken to captivity. And we have heard the violent thrashing of dolphins fighting as they were brutally slaughtered under the tarps right below us. We have one skiff taking up another net now. Everything else is under the tarp or out of sight in the foliage, so we're waiting for the skiffs to come out with the bodies and to see if they take any more captive. I see a diver in the water, probably looking for bodies to make sure they didn't leave anything behind. I think you can see him, I think, to the left of the foliage there.
Skiff's coming out. Looks like a skiff with bodies.
Okay, folks, here comes a skiff coming out from behind the trees. This is a skiff full of bodies under the tarp. And they are heading right towards the harbor and, of course, the slaughterhouse. These beautiful animals will be slaughtered. They have been slaughtered. They will be cut up and sold in the local supermarket. Probably they'll be in there tomorrow. The last striped slaughter a couple weeks ago, we saw the meat in the local supermarket the next day. Again, we can still hear yelling under the tarps. We're just waiting for them to come out. And again, to emphasize, they don't make much money off of a dead dolphin. There's not that much of a demand for dolphin meat. They make the big money off the captive dolphins that they sell to the aquariums around the world for human entertainment. So the best thing you can do is take the pledge not to buy a ticket to a dolphin show and tell all your family and friends to do the same. Here comes another skiff. They're coming out quickly. Again, headed around to the right towards the harbor. It's about 10:15 a.m. here in Taiji right now. The hunters went out this morning at about 6:40, and we first spotted this drive at 7:45. Took them probably about half an hour, 40 minutes to get them into the cove.
Right. We've had one skiff go out with the bodies so far. Just seemed like they had piled all the bodies into the skiff and covered them with a tarp. The tarps are still drawn over the killing cove or the beach down below. You hear some boat activity going on outside the cove. We'll hang out here a little bit longer and see what happens. Yeah, if you've joined us recently, we've had 4 striped dolphins being taken captive or taken away alive, and it seems like the rest of them have been slaughtered.
Can hear the engine of another skiff down there and voices talking, the hunters talking. Okay folks, we have another skiff coming out. Revving his engine on the right hand side, trying to hide under the foliage. Let's see. And around the corner to the right towards the harbor.
Alright folks, it seems that what's to be done has been done here. Most of the hunters have left, and it seems like there are no dolphins left in the cove. We have not seen any of them surface, so it seems that they've all met their fate. The 4 that have been taken captive, and the rest of the pod that seems to have lost their lives. We're going to go ahead and end our live streams here. Thank you so much for joining us, folks, and just being here, bearing witness with us for the final moments of some of these dolphins' lives. Please continue to share our live streams and our posts. We will review the footage and photos we took shortly and give you a summary of what happened here today.